Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the amazing Alex Cordova. Alex, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's amazing to have you here. But
Thank you.
before we talk about why you're here, Alex, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You are the founder of the Magic Oil Box, which blends holistic wellness with a passion for pop culture, creating aromatherapy products inspired by iconic horror films. What made you want to start doing the Magic Oil Box?
So I think like most businesses, small businesses that were created in the last 5 years, the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, kind of, sparked something, something new, something creative. I realized I was kind of missing something in my life. I was working full time, more than 40 hours a week. So I needed a creative outlet. And I've been into aromatherapy probably at that point, maybe already 4 years. I work in healthcare, so very stressful job. And, I was trying to take a more holistic approach to treating stress and things like that.
And it's amazing because the products that you offer, you have so many amazing products that you
Thank you.
offer. And the best thing is, guys, because he draws from personal experience. Like you said, it's a journey of self discovery, providing comfort and empowerment and a sense of belonging to those that find solace in the strange and the unusual, because I myself am strange and unusual.
And unusual.
Um, and you don't have to go far to find any of these products. All of those products are located on his social media. All of those links are down in the description. So make sure you're clicking those, make sure you're checking them out, and find the one that is right for you. So hopefully someday we'll be big enough to where we get the Sledgehammer Horror one. That's something I would love to see eventually. Um,
I would love a collaboration.
I put him on the spot. He didn't know I was going to say that. Um, but do you just do mainly your sales through Instagram, or do you have a website that people can visit?
So actually, so I've got my Instagram store, which is, the links are down below. I also have my website. But if you live in Southern California or, you'd like to travel, I do a lot of the big horror themed conventions in Southern California. So, Monster Palooza, Son of Monster Palooza, Midsummer Scream, which is a huge one. So if you're around, you can find me in person at these events. And it's also a great opportunity for you to actually sample my products because, it's one thing to hear the story behind something, but especially with aromatherapy, you need to be there in person. You need to be able to smell it yourself.
Sure. Sure. And you're right. That's a huge thing. So what is the best I've never done anything like this. I'm going to be completely transparent. I don't
Mhm.
tell stories. How do you use some of your products? What's the best way to use them to get the best results?
So, first of all, like every single one of my products is themed after one of my favorite scary movies. These movies I all have a connection with, I grew up with, kind of helped me get through some tough times, essentially. So, when I decided that I wanted to do a horror spin on aromatherapy, I had to think about, all right, well, what is my goal? What is the intention of this product? So I always use like my four main roller blends as example. So my main four, they are titled Dream Warrior, Nancy Final Girl, Never Sleep Again, and Elm Street blend. And of course, they are inspired by the iconic Nightmare on Elm Street. So each roller gets you through your day. And I always describe it as, take control of your nightmare, because
Mhm.
our nightmares aren't necessarily in our dreams. Our nightmares
Very
can
true.
be reality. You know, um, we may all be dealing with some kind of adversary. It doesn't have to be a dream demon named Freddy. It could be your boss. It could be a partner. It could be an ex-partner. So I just wanted everything to have a holistic intention, but also come from a place of horror.
Sure. Sure. And for a lot of us, horror is relaxing. That is our
Yes,
escape from the real life fears that we face every single day.
exactly. And being someone who is LGBTQI plus, and Hispanic and living in a Latino family, it was very. I did not come out till I was 18. So scary movies. I honestly didn't even know they were scary movies or horror movies. They were movies that I loved, and I just identified with these characters so much more than any other genre.
And it's funny because first off, I'm sorry, I think it sucks that you had to wait until you were 18 to be around your family who you truly are. That's not anything I would wish on anyone. We are very, very much allies here, and I think
Thank you.
that if we all stayed in our lane a little bit and worried about ourselves a little more and a lot less about what other people did, maybe we could find a lot more happiness. And if you find the happiness in who you really are, that's
Mhm.
where it matters, not trying to
Right,
cover it up and be someone you're not. So I'm glad that
right.
you were able to do it. I'm sorry it took so long. And
You're right.
I know,
This was my path. This is,
mhm,
self-discovery is a lifetime. It's not just a phase.
right. So it's amazing to know that you are who you are. And like you said, your story didn't end there. It didn't start there. It's just a part of your story. So I'm
Exactly.
glad that I can be a part of that as well. And what I think is so brilliant is, you do all these things with the business, with the magic oil box, and it's all horror related. But in
Hmm.
order to do that, Alex, horror had to start for you somewhere. So now, my
Yes.
friend, I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Alex, the first horror movie you watched was.
So I would say the first one that really stuck with me was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which is such an amazing sequel in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Um, so much that, my family and I went together to the drive-in and we
Of
watched
course.
it together as a family. So, that's just what we did. My mom was the big movie influence on us. She worked at a video store, back when we had actual physical VHSs, when I was a kid. So she would always bring home movies, and she also had some kind of connection with horror movies because that's a lot of the stuff that she showed us. So the first one I remember and having some kind of impact on me was Nightmare on Elm Street 3. But I remember watching Hellraiser, um, just so many.
And it's cool because, like you talked about being in the video store, my parents owned a mom and pop video store when I was a kid called Downtown Video.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, I spent a lot of time in the video store, man. Like
Well,
it was crucial to my upbringing.
well, when I
Um,
grew up,
yeah,
one of the jobs I had was Hollywood Video,
yep.
which was a video franchise that we had out here, and I did that for 2 years, and I loved it. Like that was just the best job ever.
Yeah. It helped to put a bullet in my parents' business's head, so thank you. I appreciate it. Um, no, in the town we had a video connection, a Hollywood Video,
Wow,
and
nice.
downtown video. Yeah, and
Okay.
they ended up kicking our asses. So, but Netflix would have done it anyway. Um,
Yes.
so we know that you watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3 at a very young age with your parents for the first time, and a lot of people will make the argument this is the true sequel to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, this one kind of did the requel thing before requels were requels. It completely ignored the events of part two, jumped
You
right
did.
from one to three. So, what moment would you say was the most effective for you in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors? What was the one that affected you the most?
So one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie is the moment that you realize that, Patricia Arquette's character has the ability to pull friends into her dreams. As a kid, just being into horror, being into magic, like that was such an amazing gift to have that it was just, I'm like, cool. Like, imagine having that gift. Imagine being able to pull anyone that you wanted into your dream world, especially when you need help.
And it's brilliant. The way that it happens when you see Nancy fall onto the chair and then she
Yeah, and
sees
the special
Kristen.
effects
Yes.
for a movie, from back then, like, and even now watching it, I'm just like, damn, like these effects are still so good.
It holds up, man. Like, I don't hate Nightmare on Elm Street 2. In fact, I think Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is brilliant. I love
I
Nightmare on Elm Street too.
That one has a
Um,
very, very special place in my heart,
mhm.
especially, being someone who it identifies as gay, and just knowing the history of that movie and then watching the documentary Scream Queen that's,
Scream Queen.
that I got very emotional during that documentary.
See, I'm a cis white guy, but I got emotional during that. I have empathy. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
was
for sure.
amazing to hear his story and he wasn't out of the closet at the time,
No,
so
no.
that really helped him to come out and, blessing in disguise. Yeah, at the time he hated it, but and it was a very unpopular movie at first because it was the gay one, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I think that's the darkest Freddy we've ever had.
No,
Um,
seriously, like you see, even like the cinematography in that movie, it's very dark.
yeah.
And I don't know when I realized that it was a gay movie. It was probably around the time after I came out and I had another watch with it, and it's just obviously just resonated extremely differently. So growing up and getting into more horror films, I definitely started to seek out more of the queer-oriented ones. So Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is a favorite of mine, but also Fright Night Part 2. I mean, I love the original, but Part 2, I love it.
I mean, the first one has a lot of
I mean, it
homoerotic
does.
underlying, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
Mr.
and
Dandridge and his male handyman,
whatever you want to call him,
whatever.
like, but it's
Yes,
funny because, those movies, like, horror has always been ahead of the curve when it comes to social issues and things like that. And,
definitely.
they put those things in horror movies a long time ago because horror is supposed to make you uncomfortable. And what's more uncomfortable than talking about something that's in politics at that moment? In the 80s, they have all these gay underlying issues and people are
Mhm.
uncomfortable about it because that's what horror does. It's supposed to put that in your face. It's supposed to say, hey, look at this. It's not going anywhere. If you can't
Yep.
handle it, get the fuck out of the kitchen. So,
Yeah.
uh, from the Dream Warriors, we know which scene affected you the most. Oh, that's what I was gonna
Mhm.
say about part two. I do love part two a lot. I think it's great. It's absolutely amazing. But I also agree that this should be the direct sequel to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And where I
Yes,
think this movie is so special is you care about every single one of the kids in this movie. There's not really that meat bag, except for maybe that dumb wizard kid. But besides that, there's not really. I'm just kidding. I
oh,
always have that.
Ira.
Uh, but you really care about every single one of these kids. You don't want
You
to
do.
lose any of these kids, and I think that's why this movie resonates with so many people and why it's a lot of people's favorite one. But we talked about which scene affected you the most, Alex. But what would you say your favorite scene from the Dream Warriors is?
Prime time, bitch!
Welcome to prime time, bitch. But I think a more emotional one is when Nancy essentially dies, trying to destroy him, trying to save everybody. So that is definitely one of my favorite scenes, and it definitely hits an emotional core. So
Freddy Krueger is the only villain to have killed both the main final girls in the first three movies if you don't count part two, like the three direct
right,
sequels, because
yep,
he kills Nancy and he kills
Kristen,
Kristen.
right,
I'll say
yeah,
Arquette, but yeah, he kills her in part four. Like
he
Freddy's the
does, and
only one that's able to do that shit.
yeah, it wasn't a great kill. I wasn't really a big fan of that storyline, but obviously it gave us Alice, who in her own right is an
Badass.
amazing final girl.
Love Alice. Love her
Yes,
so much. So
I,
amazing.
because I think obviously also in three you get a little more rock and roll, but then
Yeah.
but with Alice it's just a whole different kind of like punk rock kind of rock and roll. I love her.
So do I. So do I. And she's amazing. She's an amazing person too.
She
But
is.
as horror fans, something we do is we like to live vicariously through the kills. We love the kills in our favorite horror movies. So, what's the kill from the Dream Warriors that you would say is your favorite?
Well, that's easy. It's that welcome to prime time, bitch. Being someone who, at that point was addicted to TV and addicted to movies, it was just freaking terrifying to see his head
Mhm.
come out of that TV and then his arms come out and just pick her up.
My buddy Josh, he has that in his house. He has the TV mounted on the wall with the
That is
mannequin.
so cool.
It's so cool, man. Like I'm like, dude, I'm so
Yeah.
jealous of this. Like
I've
I
got
wish I would have
just
thought of this.
I just have like a really small, what I call wall of inspiration behind me. So it's
Mhm.
a lot of horror themed items that I bought from other small businesses at the conventions that I do. So
Yeah.
one day I want an entire office just filled with memorabilia.
Well, if you ever come to the Midwest for a con, you gotta let us know because we would love to come and meet you.
Thank you. Like honestly, that is the goal. I think yeah, this month. So March 16th will be 4 years in business, and I'm hoping either at the end of this year or next year I'll be able to start doing some out of state cons because I hear you guys do some really good ones.
Yeah. Horror Hound is huge. Horror
Yes.
Hound is you got the film festival, you got the celebrity part, you have the vendors, you have everything at
Hmm.
Horror Hound. It's personally one of my favorites. Horror Hound, Scarefest, Astronomicon. Those are the three ones that Ashley and I make sure we are at every year, no matter what. So
Nice.
um we'd love to have you out here for one. It would be amazing, Alex. But we talked about obviously Nightmare on Elm Street 3 being a part of a big universe in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but um 3 is where it started for you. But what would you say your favorite
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street film is?
So I don't know what order I saw them in, because like I said, the one that I remember the most is Nightmare 3. But of course, as I got older and started to understand what these films were, of course, I'm a little OCD now as an adult that I had to go back and just watch everything in order. So I want to say that number one truly is my favorite. Uh, Nancy Thompson, the one of the ultimate final girls. I loved everything about her. I loved that she was dealing with an emotionally absent parent who was an alcoholic. And Johnny Depp, so cute in that movie, him being the boyfriend and just everything. Honestly, it has everything in there. It's got the scares, it's got the kills, the practical effects. It even has comedy where you don't think comedy will be, but it's there. So definitely part one is my favorite, and to this day, still scares the shit out of me.
I've said numerous times, and it can be quoted by this
Mhm.
point. If you take out that dumb blow up doll mom and that ridiculous fucking Freddy car,
Yeah.
it's the perfect horror movie. I think if you don't, I genuinely, I think that the practical effects are there, like you said, the comedy's there, the fear's there. Have you seen the deleted scene where Nancy's mom tells her that Fred Krueger killed her brother?
Yes, that she had a sibling. I have seen that.
I love
How
that. Like,
how crazy is that to add just another depth to their connection to him? I thought that was really cool.
I hate that they cut that out.
I hate
I
that they
think it
cut that out.
makes so
I
much
agree.
more sense to leave that in.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I'm sitting on YouTube and I'm not part of the marketing team for Nightmare on Elm Street. So, um, but obviously, I'm with you. I think that, like personally, 3 I think is probably the most fun to watch.
Yes.
1 is the best, but when it comes to personal favorite, nostalgia kicks in. It's the one I watched the most as a kid. I'm going with Nightmare for the Dream Master. It's a bad movie, guys. I get it. It's not a good movie, but god damn it, it's fun, and I have so much fun every time I watch the Dream Master. So,
No, it is
um,
fun, and the music montage and the nunchucks, like
I love it. I
yeah.
love that movie. Me and Ashley argue about this all the time. Um, so we know that your journey started with A Nightmare on Elm Street. We know our boy Fred Krueger is the one that swayed you into the horror world. But here for a second,
Yeah.
I do want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. My
Okay.
little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you.
All right.
What's your favorite scary movie, Alex? But what is your favorite horror movie of all time?
That's a tough one. I mean, I could easily say, my favorite movie in each decade. Uh, But I would have to say, if I was just going to pick one, the only other movie that still scares me to this day, like A Nightmare on Elm Street, would be the first Insidious.
Ooh, good
Yes,
choice.
talk about thinking it's, a conventional haunted house movie, and it's not. It's this kid who can astral project, and then you find out his father can astral project. And let's not forget about the lipstick demon. Like, to this day, that guy freaks me out. And there are times when you're in bed, all the lights are off, you don't hear anything, and for me, sometimes I would just overthink and I would freak out because I'm thinking about Freddy Krueger. But there was this one time, I used to live in a house where there was an overhead ceiling fan. So all I hear was a whoo, 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 whoo with the fan. And next thing you know, I'm thinking about Insidious and then the scene in the movie where Elise sees him above the fan. And I'm just like, all right, I have to turn on a light. I'm not going to bed right now.
Coffee time.
Yeah.
And Insidious, I think, is a great movie. I think that and The Conjuring coming out so close together really helped to rejuvenate the horror genre at that point. Great horror movies were still being made. Don't get me wrong,
Oh, yeah, I
but
agree.
horror flipped on its head when The Conjuring and Insidious came out, and we started to, the possession type horror movie came back. Where
Yeah.
before that it was kind of like the slasher thing, and the thriller was kind of dominating. This brought back that psychological possession film, and it always takes that one movie to spin horror right back.
Yeah.
Like, and
James Wan
Terrifier
did
3
great
comes out,
work.
and oh god, it's I love personally. I
Mhm.
think the first Insidious is absolutely fantastic. I'm a sucker for part two. Um,
Oh,
I
yeah,
I love part again, all five of the movies I enjoy. It's one of the few franchises where I don't think there's any stinkers in the whole franchise.
I agree.
Um, I mean, a lot of people disliked five a lot, and I was like, I had it was fine. I would have
I think,
obviously liked more Elise, but I mean, it
right.
was still good.
I think as an adult, going through whatever childhood trauma I went through, the things I experienced, I really do enjoy those movies that are very supernatural, but take a real life issue,
Mhm.
and just kind of flip it on its head. And in the last Insidious, for me, it was just all about that childhood trauma and dealing with that, and just not remembering what really happened between your father and mom, and just getting through it and trying to, make relationships better with each other. So I love that last Insidious.
Coming full circle.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
and we know that this year we got the new Insidious movie, an Insidious Tale thread, with Mandy Moore, which I think is going to be absolutely phenomenal because Mandy Moore is a goddess. And there are rumors of an Insidious 6 coming out. Please leave
I
the
hope
Lambert
so.
family alone.
I
Like,
know, I know.
those people
They've
have been
done their
through
part.
enough. Like, we could continue it without them.
Yeah.
But, all good things must come to an end, guys. And we are at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, Alex, we're going to bounce back to the Dream Warriors. And what we're
Okay.
going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now,
Okay.
Alex, we're not ranking this on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We are not being critics. All we're doing is ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, zero skulls being not effective,
Okay.
five being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Alex, what would your ranking of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 The Dream Warriors be?
I'm gonna give it 5 skulls.
Gotta be. I mean,
Yeah.
your business now has a lot of your things are named after Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And the thing too about Nightmare 3 is because you said, what affected me the most, and the emotions behind it, you know, there are several really cute men in that movie, and at the same time, you've got a scene with a naked woman on the bed that did not affect me in the way it was supposed to. So I think about that as well when I think about part three.
yeah, I covered my eyes for it too, like this. But that's the thing though, like the man shower in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. You probably like that a whole
Yes,
lot more than I did. you
I
know?
just was well, watching it later on in life, I'm just like, holy crap! Like, no, this for sure.
Oh my God, the leather outfits and
Yes.
I'm gonna take you to the school after hours and make you run laps, and then we're gonna get in the shower. It's like, hold on
Hmm.
a second, coach. Give me the, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I haven't read every single, doctor's book, but
Right.
pretty sure I know what's going on here. Um, yeah, and that's what I love. Like I said, like it makes me so irritated that people hate on that movie because it's quote unquote the gay one when every single other slasher of that time is TNA the whole time. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
definitely.
goddamn, dude. Like,
It just, I think
how
what you
insecure are you
what you
that you
said
don't like the
earlier,
movie?
it makes them very uncomfortable. And those that are truly that affected by it are those that are internally dealing with something, you
That's what I'm
know?
saying. That's a them problem. And if you
Yeah,
can't handle,
exactly.
and like I said, there's not. Yeah, it has the gay undertones, but there's nothing outright homosexual in the movie. You don't have a
Right.
gay sex scene. You don't have two guys
Yeah.
making out. Like there's nothing like that, and you still
Mhm.
can't handle it. Like it's time to grow up. If it was up to me, they should have hung a little more dong in that movie. I said it. I'm just saying, we see, a lot of females. Let's even the
Yep.
score, guys. Hey, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch The Bride of Killer Pinata, where your boy hangs dong.
Mm.
That's how much I believe in it. So, again, I want to thank you so much, Alex, for coming on and spending some time with me so people can get to know you. I want to
No,
remind
thank you.
everybody, make sure you're checking out the Magic Oil Box. Those links are down in the description below. I promise you're not going to regret it. We ran into each other because we hold some of the same values, Alex and I do.
Yes,
And
we do.
I knew right away with the very first conversation that we had that this was somebody I wanted to befriend and somebody I wanted to bring on the podcast and talk about horror with because to find someone that shares the values and the things that you have, I think is a very special thing. And so right away, I knew this was somebody I wanted to converse with and somebody I wanted to share with the world, not just because of the shared values, but because of the amazing things he does with the business. And when we checked out the business, I was like, this is absolutely amazing. So make
Thank
sure,
you.
like I said, you guys are checking it out. I promise you're not going to regret it. And follow him on social media while you're there because when he does do these travelings to the conventions, you're going to be there to smell these in person, meet him in person, and become a part of his family as well. So Alex, please don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Uh, Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Those links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.